Hi everyone. Today markets did continue this upward trajectory. It was a little bit choppy early in the session. You can see we hit that 144 and then pulled back, set up a higher low off of this consolidation here, and then continued higher into that next zone. Overall though, good day of trading, good day of movement in the right direction based on what we were hoping for out of the weekend analysis. Do me a quick favor and like and subscribe and watch the video till the end to help out the channel, and let's get started. So in news today, Trump came out and said Iran will be held responsible for any future Houthi attacks. He already came out and threatened the Houthis for any future Houthi attacks. And this should overall be good for the economy. We want to have secure shipping routes. That takes a little bit of uncertainty out of the markets, in my opinion. But the idea of pulling Iran into future attacks could drive up the cost of oil. In theory, most of their oil is not being pushed in the market due to sanctions on their country, but who knows, oil prices are on the rise as news of this was pushed out and priced into markets. So something to think of. A little bit of energy prices going higher might create a little uncertainty for markets, but hopefully we can create a more stable shipping market to help secure those routes around the world. Again, I think this is broadly good for markets, but we are seeing a little bit of a bump in energy prices today. Moving over to fear and greed, we stepped up to a 21 from a 14. We did get that nice bounce here today. It doesn't look like much on the charts, but it was a nice move up to 22 now it says. So good move there on fear and greed. Still extreme fear on most of the metrics, which generally is a pretty good time to be buying. Hopefully this is a solid bottom here. Put call ratio still staying elevated, not loving that, but volatility has come down. I think you have at least 1 or 2 more days at a minimum of downward movement on volatility. Safe haven demand still sitting at extreme fear way down in the negative 0.9 area, and then junk bonds still hanging out, still doing pretty well in regular greed. Moving over to the economic calendar, we did get the core headline retail sales numbers. You can see the month-over-month numbers way worse than expectations. The consumer continues to be weakening there. You can see the previous number also revised down. It was already negative and it got even worse, so bad there. And the core number also revised down, not great at all. Surprisingly, the core number for the month-over-month was in line with expectations, slightly positive, but everything else continues to be worse than expectations there. So bad numbers there. Want to see the consumer start to strengthen. That is one of the first early indicators of a potentially recessionary environment. Tomorrow, not a whole lot of impactful data. You can see all 2 stars across the board, but Atlanta Fed GDP, want to see that improve a little bit. It's very negative right now. And then for the Wednesday, we have CPI for the Eurozone. And then, of course, we have FOMC statement and interest rate projections there for the Wednesday, which will be the biggest impact for the week. Moving over to Max Pain, we have a ton of options, 4.6 million in this quad witching. We expected bullishness. We got bullishness. Want to see this continue to drift towards that 585 number. You can see current price, 562. I think we finished a little bit higher than that, but overall, I want to see this continue to go higher into that 585 area. 580 is a huge put wall. I want to see it get between 580 and 590 in here. Makes the most amount of sense, which again is pretty bullish from here. I want to see that continue to go. Moving over to the charts, looking at the S&Ps, you can see we got a second day continuation. You like to see it. We're above the 9 EMA. Overall good there. Didn't quite touch the 200-day moving average at 570.59. I thought we might get to there, but you can see we hit the level 569.90. The high of day was 569.71. So we missed it by just a few pennies, but very, very close to that level. You could almost call it a touch, but momentum swinging to bullish, RSI swinging to bullish. Everything here says bullish. Again, we might see a little bit of pullback. Maybe we get a higher low setup in here, but overall structurally, I think we're going to be in good shape from current price. I'm not expecting a rocket to the downside with this kind of consolidated bottom rally up. Again, higher low maybe to the trend, still could go as low as maybe a double bottom, but that's not what I'm expecting. I'm expecting a nice, maybe shallow pullback after today's rally. Maybe it goes straight through up into this zone here, 585. That's what we're looking for. Between 579 and 585 is kind of the target range here for now, and everything looks good on that. We saw it in the intro. We saw it here on the hourly. Nice consolidative continuation higher. 21 EMA held all session, didn't even touch it on the hourly. Momentum faded a little bit towards the end, but overall I think this is going to hold. You do have that 200 as overhead resistance. That's right now at 571.58. And you could absolutely expect a touch of that slight pullback from there and then continuation higher. As long as we are between that 55 and the 200, want to see this grind higher through there. Moving over to the Tasty charts here, you can see on the daily we got above that 8 EMA, closed above it. Want to see it push into this kind of consolidation zone here. This is counter trend rally as we are in bearish conditions with that trailing stop right now, 592.65. That is where you would expect this to turn if we do get the turn, at least over the next couple days, maybe even a couple of weeks potentially. But looking at that hourly chart, you can see it continuing to grind through here, staying in that upper quadrant. Everything continues to look really, really good. And then looking at the 4-hour chart, it's worth noting we are now touching that ATR trailing stop, which is at 567.83. We touched that trailing stop. We couldn't quite get above it. You also have that 4-hour 55 EMA sitting there as well at 568.63. Not a ton of volume. Would have wanted to see a little bit better volume pushing through there, but we'll see if that comes through tomorrow. Right now, right at overhead resistance. Want to see it hold this structure. Moving over to the NASDAQ here, you can see right in this zone, looking at that overhead resistance trend line, we came into that over this kind of consolidation downtrend before we broke. Now we had a base rallying out of that base. Want to see it fill this gap. That close, the open of that candle was 487.16 and the high of today was 485.84, so we didn't quite touch it. You have the level there as well, 486.84. Want to see it get through there. Momentum bullish, RSI bullish. This momentum is swinging to the bull side. Again, wouldn't shock me to see a little bit of hesitation and then continuation higher, but still looking for this to get into this 498.44 to 503.52 range. This is where I think we're going in here. At a minimum, could absolutely overthrow it to the 515 area, but I think that's a little optimistic. I think in here makes the most amount of sense, at least in the short term. And then looking at that hourly chart, again, a little bit choppy. The NASDAQ did underperform here. You can see we broke this consolidation early in the session, relative weakness to the SPY charts, but then we did get the continuation higher, got above 481.94. After hours, drifting a little bit higher, held that kind of retest in here. We're above the 144. You can see that initial test pushed to the 21, rallied through. Overall, like this structure, want to see 481.94 hold. And this structure looks a lot better than what we were seeing here. We had some choppy action in here, consistent lower lows, but now we have at least something to work with to the bull side. Moving over to the Tasty charts here for the Qs, right at that AMA, 8 EMA, we're right above it there at 482.02. Want to see it continue through there into this consolidation. This is what we were talking about. It looks like a little bit higher on this one, between 503 and maybe 507. That could potentially play your trailing stop right now, 513.64. So a little bit more room there if you're working off of the trailing stop. But either way, bearish conditions, waiting to see if it can retrace that far. If we do, expecting a lower high and bigger swing down, in my opinion, ultimately. But again, playing this short-term rally for what it is. Looking at the hourly chart, again, staying in that move, upper half, continuing to go higher. The 8 did break a little bit, didn't love that, but 21 held, structure was okay. And then looking at the 4-hour, like I was talking about on the SPY charts, you got that overhead resistance at the 55 EMA. That's 485.51, and then the trailing stop's a little higher there, 488.22. So again, a little bit of underperformance relative to the SPY, but structurally in the short term, nice hold of that 8 EMA on the 4-hour. Want to see that continue to hold and continue to rally up towards that upper trailing, towards that trailing stop. Moving over to the Russell and the Dow, you can see both of these managed to get some gains here today. The Russell was up 1.26%, got just above that 205.07 level, and then you can see the Dow getting above the 418.38 level. Again, looking for some more bullish movement, momentum swinging to bullish, RSI swinging to bullish. Still looks like a nice little counter trend rally. Want to see this push through into the 212 to 214 area. In here makes sense to me. And then looking at the Dow, same thing here. Got the 21, the 144, around that 428, 429 area. Overall, still like both of these. And they did have some nice closes as well. The Dow is below that 9 EMA on a closing basis, but we did get a test of it. Want to see it close above there. Russell looks a lot stronger relative to the Dow, at least for now. Moving over to the Mag 7, this is why the NASDAQ was underperforming. You can see the Mag 7 was down 1% today. Still held the support at 273.41, but we're still inside of this consolidation. So Mag 7 not leading us higher. Again, this is part of why I think this is a counter-trend rally at best, but in here, still consolidating, still holding a little bit of support. Momentum swinging to bullish, RSI holding up there. We're not seeing that upward swing that we're seeing across the rest of the markets, and this is very, very concerning. If the market leaders are not leading us higher, there's a good chance that it's going to fail, in my opinion. Moving over to Apple and Microsoft. Apple was actually slightly positive, 0.25%, nothing convincing to the upside. Momentum did stop going bearish, RSI getting just above oversold conditions. Not super convincingly, but it's at a 31 now, coming off of a 25, so slightly better. Same here on Microsoft, 14 cents higher, just very unconvincing bullish days. It's rallying a little after hours, momentum slightly bullish there, but again, this does not look great, doesn't look that much better. The major indices do look a little bit better to me than these individual stocks, at least for now. Moving over to Tesla and NVIDIA, these were absolutely terrible today. So Tesla down 4.79%. Momentum is holding up here. Support still at 232.57. We held that support. We didn't even quite touch it here today, but we held it. We're in this kind of consolidation still on Tesla, wide-ranging consolidation, but not super terrible. Want to see it hold here, want to see it rally through to the at least 280s. That would help markets more broadly and specifically the NASDAQ. But for now, not looking super great. And then you got NVIDIA, 1.67% momentum, supposedly bullish. Price action, not so much. Still below 124.69. That was the target. We did go slightly higher early in the session, but we couldn't hold any of those gains, and then we sold off, taking out the open from the previous day. We did close just above that, and then again after hours drifting a little bit higher, but not super convincing. This does look a little bit better to me than Tesla, but either way, not super great. Moving over to Amazon and Alphabet, both of these did not have great days either. You can see Amazon down 1.2% and Alphabet down 0.6%. Still in the same consolidation range, pretty much the same as what we saw on the Mag 7 charts. Yeah, again, though, they're not leading us higher. They're not even holding up as well as the broader markets. Want to see these continue through into the 21 EMA if they're going to do it. And if they don't, I just don't see markets heading broadly higher over the medium term. Moving over to staples and discretionaries, you can see staples were up 1.46%. Really nice move there. Momentum stepping higher. RSI starting to step a little bit higher there. Risk off markets continuing to play through. Rotation style trade, you like to see it. So we had a nice rally in. Consolidation. Wick took out all the stops and then sold right to a support level, potentially higher low setup in here. Coming off of that 78.88 level on the Friday, we said that looked good, got a nice bounce, closed positive. Got the gap up and the rally, nice move, around 1.5%. Discretionaries, on the other hand, was positive, just 31 cents, but it was below the level 197.14. Want to see it get above that if it's going to do it. Momentum stepping slightly bullish, same thing here on RSI, just out of oversold conditions, but not by much. So this has been quite a sell. We're down over 17% from the most recent high. If you go to this high over here, it's even more, closer to that 20% move on discretionaries. Is it going to rally through here? I think we just have to before we get another continuation lower, but you never know. Markets can do anything at any time. Moving over to real estate and oil and gas. Real estate had a great day, 1.76%. We were buying into here. We said this was a zone 40 to 41 is kind of this buy area. That's where we were at on the Friday, Monday, and then we got a push out of there. Didn't have a ton of time to buy it in here. We were buying through here, and now it looks like we've established a higher low, big consolidation rally out. Want to see this push into 42. In terms of a medium-term buy, not super great at buying above this level, but for the short term, I think there's some more in it. And then oil and gas, we talked about it on the opener. Oil and gas has had a nice move. Strong move on the Friday, strong move here today as well. 2% higher, getting through that 127.99 level. Want to see that push to 135. This is a bit of a headwind for markets generally, but oil and gas finding some legs coming off of that 120 level. Moving over to breadth, 20 and 50-day breadth here, showing a lot of bullishness. We got a huge follow-through gap and rally on 20-day breadth. Starting to hit some zones of resistance, but I think this can go a little bit higher into the 55 to 68 range. Somewhere in here makes sense to me. Similarly here on 50-day breadth, nice gap and rally. Want to see it get above the 40 level. Momentum stepping to bullish, RSI stepping to bullish. Both of these looking pretty strong in the short term. Should confirm that counter trend rally that we're looking for. You could argue maybe low, higher low here. Maybe we find a little bit more strength out of it, but for me, still looking for short-term counter trend rally. Moving over to the dollar here on the hourly and the daily, consolidation on the session, pretty much throughout the session, slight fall into it and then consolidation sideways. Daily chart, we're in the same region we've been in. We did close below 103.6. We haven't been below that for 2 days and now we're back below it. A little bit of dollar falling there. Interesting. Want to see the dollar stay stable. That should help out equities. Don't want to see it rally through too much. Strong dollar usually is not super strong for markets. So want to see it kind of hold here, which is what it's doing for now. If it starts to crater, that could be a problem as well. So want to see stable dollar, and we have seen that for about a week. Want to see that continue. Moving over to bonds. Bonds had a good day as well. JNK up a quarter, TLT up a half. Overall, continuing to see this kind of waterfall sell-off kind of culminate here. Want to see some rally throughs. Might still see a lower high in here, but overall not expecting much. You got a low, double bottom in here. Got a high double top in here. So you have a consolidation range. Can't seem to get out of there overall. Not a bad place to be buying yields. And then looking at TLT, kind of the same thesis, right? We have a nice bottom in here. Consolidation style grinding rally to a peak. You do have a nice higher low in here. Momentum stepping to bullish. Want to see it rally through. If we can get to 96.5, I think we have a really nice bottom to work off of. Might see a consolidation grinding price action to the upside. Potentially a medium term trend would be nice into that 100 area. Either way, still like yields here, still like bonds. Moving over to the VIX. The VIX did fall into that support zone that we talked about, right around the 20 area, right around the trend, right around the 21. We had a consolidation in here. We fell to that level. Is it going to cut through to this next consolidation zone around 17 to 17.5? That would be interesting, but for now, this is a potential support zone, so be careful. If we see a higher low here, rally out. Obviously, that will be catastrophic for markets. I don't really feel like we're at a turning point. I think markets have a little bit more bullishness in them, so I'm expecting this to push through to here, but this is a zone where you do have to be a little bit cautious. Moving over to my accounts, I did really well on the session. I traded kind of crappy early in the session, but overall managed to pull it out. You can see on my shares, I was still negative because, again, I just did not trade super well, but I managed to pull it out. Had some options that I traded intraday. Those did okay. And then you can see the shares made up for some of those gains, but it wasn't super great. And then you can see covered calls here as well at 480 and 481. Max profit there is going to be 483 and 483.75, almost 484. So a little bit higher from current price for tomorrow's session, but still gives me some solid protection. Again, want to see that 481, 482 area hold. And then for the Qs rolled out as well. And then for the Russell rolled out as well, 204 for a $1.53 credit. Already almost at that max profit. Honestly, probably should have rolled out one more, but we'll see how it plays out tomorrow. Overall, I still like a little bit more bullishness, and I'm positioned for a little bit more bullishness. Pretty good on the day. Hoping for a little bit more tomorrow. Let me know down in the comment section what you thought of the markets today. What did you think of Trump's comments on the Houthis and potentially Iran? Is that going to create some geopolitical risk, or will it ultimately stabilize the geopolitical risk around shipping? Let me know. Otherwise, like and subscribe if you got any value out of this video. Make sure you hit the bell so you don't miss out on any future episodes. Of course, none of this is financial advice. This is all for entertainment purposes. Good luck in your trading and have a great day.